So I'm going to frame my project with cane, and one of the first things I like to do is take off a small piece of the cane that I'm working with. And I'll use that piece as a tool that helps me keep things straight and square. So I'll cut it and I'll be right back. Okay, I've cut the little piece off and I'll just show you basically what I do then is I put and I do say cane a lot when it's zinc. In this case it happens to be zinc. It's the same theory though. It's obviously a different product. So I'll put my zinc on and I'll get it in the picture here. Kind of tap it, make sure it's seated pretty well. This is where the little tool comes in. If you notice, I can put it on, it'll sit where it belongs, and I know exactly now how high this is going to be on this end. So it's just a nice little thing, and I always cut it off a piece I'm working with just in case something happens to be different, different sizes or whatnot. The next thing, I'm going to take my camera off the stand here in a moment and I'll show you, but you'll need a long straight edge, something straight. And the reason behind this is you're going to now mark the angle. Using this straight edge, you don't care what the angle is. You don't have to guess. There's just no guesswork. You need nothing. You're going to lay it down corner to corner of the project, and wherever it lays over top of the zinc or the cane, that is where you need to mark it and where you need to cut it. So I'll set it down and then I'll pick up my camera and I'll show you better. So I'm going to put this here corner to corner. And I'm going to mark this and then I'll show you what I did. Didn't mean to move that. All right. So we'll zoom out here a little bit. So there's the long straight edge and it's just running corner to corner. And regardless of any angle, it's going to be correct for the intersecting joints. So I'll mark that one and then I'll cut the one next to it and we'll be back. All right, I have cut the right side and I've set up the top using my little tool again just to give me some guidance as to how far this needs to be over. If it's a little over, that's fine because you're going to be trimming it anyways. So basically I'm doing the exact same thing we just did, just to get the other corner. So I will once again go corner to corner. Mark it. And then we will cut that one and we'll come back and just show you a good fit. I use a Dremel tool, which is right here, with this flexible shaft. And in this case, this is the end, and then this is just a diamond cutoff wheel. So a lot of people use cutoff saws, they use all kinds of things. One thing I would recommend is when you do cut your stuff, there will be little burrs on the inside of it. You're going to want to remove those burrs and get them out of the way. I just use that cutoff tool while it's spinning, kind of like a filer, if you will, and file it out of the way. It only takes a second. But if you don't do that, it can get hung up on the glass, scratch it, and tear foil and whatnot. All right, so I'm going to cut the other pieces, get them all matched up, solder it, and we'll go from there. I'll be back. Okay, got all four corners cut. Pretty good angles based on how I was telling you how to do that. I like a little bit of a gap in mine because I like to fill it with solder. I just want it to be square. And on the top, I leave the gap a little bit bigger than normal because I run my hangers through there, which I'll probably do those tomorrow, and I will show those in this video as well. All right, I appreciate it. Have a nice night. Okay, I skipped ahead a little bit and completed it, but I want to show you at least how to finish it up. Once you get it framed and before you get it soldered, now's the time for you to put in your handy hangers if that's what you're going to use. Let me get to the video, see if you can see this or not. This is a handy hanger. Sorry about that. And it's just a piece of brass and it fits inside of these channels. So if this is your zinc, for example, it will fit right into the end of the channel and it's a nice, good, tight fit. When you go to use these, the proper way to do this is you're gonna want this down on the table. What I do is I take 2 of these Morton guides and I thumbtack them down where this fits in between it, and it stands up nice and level like this. So you're gonna take your flux and you're gonna brush all through in here. You want nice good flux in there because you're gonna want to get it hot and clean. You're gonna take your brass piece, and I like to actually work on a piece of glass. So I got a heavier piece of glass than normal. I'll put a little bit of flux right down on the glass. I'll set that on it, little flux on top of it. Then you literally just set your iron on it and just let it boil and kind of work your way around it. If there's any solder on your iron, it's going to go right to it. But basically you want to tin it. Once you get it clean, tin it. If you fill the hole, no big deal. You can get that out quite easily. But once you get it tinned, just slide it off the side and let it cool. When you cut this stuff, there gets burrs in the ends. So I just take a pair of pliers and do just this simple. Just give a little squeeze on each side, and that gets the burr out of the way. Then this will sit in nice and flush. Obviously it won't come all the way down because, oops, sorry about that. It won't come all the way down because it's inside the channel. So what I do when I set it down and I get ready to solder it, I normally put a toothpick right underneath there and just keep this so elevated, because you're going to push down on this part with your soldering iron. So this is basically like this down on my board. You bring your iron on to it. It's all gonna be nice and hot, and you're gonna put a little more flux there, and just put your iron there. Just let it boil away, let it boil, 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 because it has to heat up this whole piece of brass and get this hot enough to accept the solder and whatnot. Once it gets plenty hot, then you'll be able to feed your solder into it just like normal. It'll take a fair amount of solder. It will literally draw it right in, and it'll anchor very, very strong. So once that's done, which is obviously part of your frame, this is just junk so I could show you. Move this stuff out of the way. You would take your, excuse me, what I do now, and I'm going to take you off the stand here. Get some blue painter's tape. Works very, very well. Take the corner so that if you're doing a 45-degree angle, for example, so just tape it up, the solder will not stick to it. So I take my fid and I always just get this nice and down and tight, because you don't want it to run there either. You don't need it there. So once you get it like this, I brush a good amount of flux on it, for example. You hold your iron on, and this is all cold, I'm just showing you after the fact. Hold your iron on, kind of move it around, get it nice and cleaned up and whatnot, and then solder it like normal. It really is that simple. If you have something that comes in from the side where you have the opportunity to solder a lead line into the side, like I happen to have right here, I do pretty much the same thing. However, I don't want the solder line, which I'm going to try to zoom in on you here. This solder line is my line. I don't like it to continue through the entire frame. It's just a cosmetic thing. I just don't like it. So I'll put this tape down like normal, and then I'll bring this tape as far as I want it to go. And just like before, I'll take my fid, push this down in, and then do it exactly like you did the other, where you're going to brush on the flux, get it clean, bring your iron, get it hot, then put a little bit of soldering iron, excuse me, solder itself, and it'll flow very easily. It's really that simple. Let me zoom back out and put you back up here. When this is done, here are your hangers, in my case obviously in the top, and they're soldered very deep. The corners and whatnot will turn out very well, so I'll remove this tape where we did it the first time, and as you can see, it does not stick there, and it just works perfectly. And that's it.